work in that way. It shouldn't be just one night, it just didn't happen, I just didn't, no, it should be every night. It should be varied, but there should always be a sense of shading. You should always be aware of the music of what you're saying, whether you're emotionally connected or not. Because you're not going to be emotionally connected every night. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be some nights you're not going to have it. But that doesn't mean the audience shouldn't get what those shadings. So some of the technical has to be there all the time to sense where a speech comes down, perhaps, where you can start a new beat and then build it a little bit and then come back, if you know what I mean. Now that can vary, of course. It doesn't have to be the same all the time, but just being aware that there's a music to what you're saying rather than just emotional stuff and letting it loose. The same with St. Joan, It was all on one level. Gloria, yeah, it was all pretty much on one level, There's more than just emotion that she's feeling. And otherwise it's therapy. It becomes, I feel this way and I'm going to do this. Well, in a rehearsal, fine. That's good in rehearsal. You can do that.
It becomes thespotherapy.
Huh?
It becomes thespotherapy.
Well, it does, yeah. It kind of gets a little bit, but in a rehearsal, we're allowed to do that. This is a rehearsal, so no problem. But I'm just pointing this out because some people think this is more than rehearsal, And I want you to know that, there are ways even in rehearsal to find certain levels rather than letting everything out and having it on one level. You're working with poetry. All the writing that you brought in is poetry. It's poetry because your writer doesn't have to rhyme to be poetry, as you guys know. It's poetry because the words are selected by a writer. Somebody selected the writing and chose that word rather than that word, chose that phrase rather than another phrase, and he wants you to get, or she wants you to have a sense of the music of what you're saying. Most of the characters, by the way, that you chose are poets themselves. They speak quite well. They're not inarticulate. They have a sense of building a speech. They have a sense of, certainly Mark Antony knows how to build a speech. Whether he's improvising, I'm sure. I mean, I think he probably had some idea, but that character probably is a wonderful improviser.
He's making it up as he goes along.
Huh?
He's making it up as he goes along.
Yeah. I wonder how much he planned that he would even get up there. I'm wondering.
He prayed over Caesar's body to Ate, the god of war.
But I wonder if he, at that moment, whether he just decides, fuck it, I'm going to get up there and talk, I wonder, or whether he thought all along he would do it. I'm not sure. Stephanie, beautiful, very conversational, very nice. Diana, good sense of poetry in what you did.
Thanks.
That was what character?
That's Isabella.
Of course. And boy, does she have it. That character has it from measure for measure. She knows how. And boy, is it hard for some actresses to get that because there's so much Sturm and strong.
Sturm and Drang. Storm and Fury.
This is the moment that Isabella loses it because she's always in control, and then this is the moment she loses it. So her brother says, go have sex with him to save my life. Right. She loses it.
Yeah. So I thought it was quite clear, rather than garbled, because it was, as Ed says, emotionally losing.
Thanks.
Tom, I thought that was quite clear in terms of what you did with Willie. Let me see, Evan. Yeah. I thought it had great control. Seemed to have great control. I felt emotions that were underneath. I could sense there was something really underneath it. Same with yours, with the Paulina from Winter's Tale. I felt that there was something going on underneath, and yet I got the verse or the actual story. Ed, no, say anything?
Yeah, I just think of you, it's something very interesting. I'm gonna elaborate on what Roger said. I heard Ian McKellen and, what's his name?
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart.
Make it so.
talking- Yeah, from, which we saw actually. But I heard them talking on channel, I don't remember what show it was, maybe Theater Talk. And they were talking about, what happens when you're doing this? They asked him, you've been doing this for a year, they've been touring the world. And he says, when we check out, we catch it and we just look at each other's eyes and they connect. And that's what it's about connecting with the other character. It's not about you. Hamlet is not about Hamlet. Hamlet is about his reactions. How he affect, you can't be Hamlet. You can only react as Hamlet to other people. You can't, and I'm talking about the most self-centered role probably there ever is, or in Lear maybe.
Yeah.
But it's about the other character. It's never about you. It's about the other character. So here's for artists, if you...
Except when it's about you.
What?
Except when it is about you.
Yeah, but it's always about...
Yeah.
Get me to a
Outfit.
nunnery,
Somebody
nip
else.
and thy orisons, be all my sister.
But there's just one more little thing, and that is, I was thinking, if somebody's coming on to you totally dramatic, lighten, whatever that, find a way to lighten it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because you were saying everybody's
can.
coming on like this. Respond to,
If you can, you're gonna find more colors, and
Yeah,
and you can trust that the material is gonna carry a lot of heavy stuff for you. There's plenty of depth in all the material you're doing without having to dig, too much. And I know for a lot of people that's sacrilegious. But I think as long as you're prepared emotionally, and you have the preparation, and you have the emotions going on, then you can afford to cover a lot of that and not show everything all the time in terms of that kind of thing. That's what I'm basically asking you to do. I wonder, Noah, could you turn the lights on
Yes.
so we can all see everybody? It's kind of looking out into the dark tonight. We need to see a little bit. I want to go to some scene work now. We've got some work going. James, yeah.
Can I have a directorial moment?
What's that?
Can I have mine hair? Can I have a directorial moment?
Of course, a directorial moment. Yes, a directorial moment. Please, yes. What would you like?
I would just say to Isabella, and to Joan of Arc, La Pucelle, Orléans. Relax, because Joan of Arc is pretty fucking young, and she is possessed by gods, okay? And she knows she's going to burn at the stake, which hurts a lot, and she's totally cool with that. So that requires a particular religious ecstasy and fervor to not suffer while being burned at the stake. And that requires researching Joan of Arc's battle standard, which is the Cross of Laurent, which was what Charles de Gaulle sewed into the French flag during the Nazi occupation of France. And I would say to Isabella, she is horrible, this woman, Isabella, because her brother's about to have his head chopped off by the Viennese autocracy, and she's not willing to risk her life to save his. And so you have to understand, outside of yourself, her prudishness, fragility, and virginity, which you don't seem to possess as an individual.
And if you're gonna do that, James, you have to justify it. you have to, if you're gonna do that, I think you have to justify it as not being awful, because I think then you're passing a judgment on your character and saying, my character is awful. There are reasons she has to, she would say this, about, that she has the attitudes that she has. In other words, you have to, if you're playing a character like a Iago, if you're playing a villain, if you're playing anything, it's much more interesting, I think, anyway, don't you, to justify certain things.
No, that's
Yeah.
horrible. Then you would have to play Hamlet and Oedipus and justify sleeping with your own mother, killing your father,
Yeah,
and
I think,
killing, you don't have to justify that shit. Just understand
yeah,
that in the Viennese autocracy,
Yeah.
Isabella didn't make the choice in Shakespeare's play called Measure for Measure.
right, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
All-
that-
All I'm saying
Okay.
is that it's better we don't pass judgment.
Well, you can pass judgment on your characters
I
and
thi-
play
I-
them.
Well, I think you can when you're writing a paper, yeah, I think you do. When you write a paper and you're doing a critique. But if you're studying a role, I think it's best to keep yourself, at least I always felt,
Possessed.
to protect and justify why Iago does that, which is easy to do, by the way, why Iago acts that way. Very
Passed
easy.
over for promotion.
So, otherwise, you're playing a villain.
When I said she loses it at that moment, I didn't mean that she loses it, gets hysterical. She does get hysterical at him, but what losing is she loses her calm and she closes rank. And her belief in the virginity is what she's throwing at him. She loses any sense of, she's going back and forth with what's his name?
Well, she's a Catholic nun,
Okay.
acting in sacrilege.
Now we're gonna go to the work. And,
Go on, yeah.
And why don't you guys get up and start with a rehearsal of the Youth and the Bridge? Great. Great always to have notes, even greater to do the work. Always even greater to do the work.